Welcome to the Euro 2020 betting show from the Action Network.
Welcome back to the Action Network's Euro 2020 soccer betting preview show. I'm Michael Leboff, the soccer editor here at Action Network. Joining me today are Anthony DeBundo of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and BJ Cunningham of beautiful Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the big city. And guys, it's a kind of a bittersweet day, right? We do have 4 matches, but it is the last day of the group stage, and that's sad because the group stage is obviously the most chaotic part of the tournament, the most fun part of the tournament, but now we get down to business. But before we get to the knockout stage, let's size up the 4 matches today, starting with a noon kickoff between Slovakia and Spain. Obviously, Spain are prohibitive favorites. They opened up around minus 450. Slovakia coming back around 15-1. The draw around 5-1, a little higher than 5-1. BJ, I mean, I don't really know how you can make a case for Slovakia here after what we've seen from them and what we've seen from Spain. So I'll just let you take it.
Yeah, I think people have made the argument that Denmark's been, the most unlucky team in this tournament, but I think it's really been Spain. So through their first 2 matches, they have controlled over 75% of the possession. They have 27 shots, 10 of which have been on target. Their opponents only have 8. They've created 6.06 expected goals, which is the most of anybody in this tournament. And they only have 1 goal and 2 draws to show for it. And now they're playing a team that through their first 2 matches has allowed 3.76 expected goals, only created 1.17, and is going to be playing for a draw because all they need is a point and they're moving on to the knockout stage. So I think this is going to be a situation where Spain could possibly control 85% of the possession. Slovakia could maybe only have 10 to 20 touches in their own Spain's final third. And it's just going to be an onslaught of Spain creating chances on goal and seeing if they can actually put one in. Now, the game theory point of this one is if Spain wins and if Poland beats Sweden, then Spain would win the group. If Sweden draws with Poland, Spain needs to beat Slovakia by 2 goals, by 2 goals, basically, to beat them on goal differential. So I love Spain here. They're spread -2 at anything plus money because I'm just going to hope that they can actually take care of these chances because they're probably going to create over 3 expected goals this match, and Slovakia is probably going to create maybe, 0.5 or less. So I'll go with Spain in the positive regression and just kind of hope for a blowout here. So yeah, -2 at anything plus money.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do want to bet this match and you're not interested in the 15-1 on Slovakia, I think hunting for a big price on Spain to score like 4 or 5 goals might be worth it. Or, we talked last time Spain was playing about Alvaro Morata scoring at least 2 goals. I think maybe finding a player to score a hat trick or do something crazy like that could be fun. Anthony, do you see any reason to get involved with Slovakia or Spain in this match?
No, not really. Slovakia is probably the second worst team in this tournament. BJ said before they probably might be the worst. That you can make that argument. They got really lucky in their first game. They created nothing against Sweden. They don't really have a path to create anything against this Spain team. You can at least see how Sweden and Poland were able to break through a couple times and create a few big chances, which is actually a little concerning for Spain going forward. But this is not the game for me to kind of get involved on getting in front of Spain. I'm passing. I can't lay 2 goals with this team right now. I think there's just too much question marks. If you want to have maybe some fun with this, you could find a player prop to score maybe. But for me, I'm totally staying away. So it's a pass all around.
All right, that brings us to another noon kickoff, the other group game in this group. Very different. Very, very different game. You can tell by the odds. Sweden and Poland. Poland is a lukewarm favorite in this one. The odds are pretty tight. It's basically almost, as close to a pick 'em as maybe you'll find in this tournament. Poland round plus 155 at the moment. Sweden plus 185. The draw a little north of 230. We were pretty down on Poland after their first match coming into the tournament. It was basically Lewandowski or bust. And we were pretty, I think, fair to say we were pretty high in Sweden. We love Alexander Isak on this show. So but obviously the stakes are much higher for Poland, right? Poland needs to win this game. Sweden basically through. Do you think that kind of game script is going to maybe put some value on either side here, Anthony? Or is it going to be a game where maybe you just take the value on Sweden because everyone's thinking, must win game for Poland, I'm going to go that way?
Yeah, that's really what happened here. The market opened to Sweden were pretty decent favorites. It was about plus 140 for Sweden, plus 200 for Poland. That was the open before the Poland-Spain game had happened. Now, Poland had lost that game to Spain. They'd be out, and that would have changed the calculus quite a bit. But because Poland now has something to play for, they are now pretty overpriced in the number right now, plus 160. I actually like the under more. 2.25 goals is minus 117 right now. I like that. Personally, this sets up to be a classic Sweden game. They're going to sit with their banks of four behind the ball. They're the ones that will take the point and guarantee themselves a top two finish, maybe even win the group if Spain slips up again. And if they get 3 points, so be it. They can go win the group. But Sweden will be most likely looking to avoid defeat here. So when they do that, they tend to be very difficult to break down. Robin Olsen's been, I'd argue, the best goalkeeper in the tournament. They have not allowed a goal, one of the few teams to say that, along with Italy. And so when you look at that, Sweden sitting in their deep banks of four, not allowing penetration from Poland into the penalty area and keeping an eye on Lewandowski should be able to keep this game under. If Poland gets a goal, goes up 1-0, even then, Sweden is safe on 4 points with a decent goal difference, 0 goal difference. That would be enough to get them through. So again, a situation where Sweden will be perfectly fine, even losing 1-0 because they're going to be into the next round. Poland would take that result too. So I think there's going to be a lot of periods of stale, boring play here. The only concern would be if Sweden just goes nuclear on the counterattack, which could happen with Ishak, and maybe Kulusevski will play. Who knows what his health status is right now. But for me, I like the under 2.25 goals.
Yeah, I think, like you said, this could be a game where it's just an unstoppable force, immovable object in terms of the way that they approach this match. And that low total screams draw to me. I think the price is pretty decent, plus 235 at the moment. I think a draw at like plus 220 or better might be worth a bet. And I think that's probably where I'm going. BJ, do you think either side, under, over, where are you going?
Yeah, this is kind of going to be kind of a live bet situation for me to see kind of how the match goes, because it was very kind of surprising to see what Sweden did against Slovakia, because they did play very defensive for the first half and kind of just got better as the match went along and started to create more chances towards the second half. 1.77 of their expected goals against Slovakia came in the second half. 6 of their 7 shots inside the penalty area also came in the second half. So I think there is a scenario here where you can make the argument for Poland in the first half, since they're going to have to be the ones coming out on the front foot, needing the win, and potentially, playing maybe a live draw or a Sweden plus half a goal as we go along with the match. But for me, as far as pregame is concerned, it's a stay away because I do think Sweden's going to come out very defensive in the first half. So for me, it's just going to kind of sit back and wait for a live situation to either play a draw or Sweden plus half a goal.
Yeah, nothing like a live draw to get the gambling juices flowing.
That's right.
On a Wednesday afternoon. All right, let's move on to the 3 p.m. kickoffs. The group of death coming to a conclusion. We got to start with our guys. Hungary take it on Germany. Obviously, Germany, massive favorites, sitting around minus 560 at the moment. Hungary, 15-1. The tie, 6.5-1. Oh man, it's hard not to be romantic about this Hungary team. And I'm not just talking about this tournament, going back to the last Euros. That crowd was bananas in Budapest. And of course, they get a massive, massive result against France in a kooky game. I don't know how else to describe that one. BJ, I want you to sell me on Hungary very badly, but I just don't know if you're going to be able to do it.
I might be able to. Let's see if I can. So Germany just looked like a completely different team against Portugal. They were much more aggressive, a lot quicker in their progression going up the field. They basically allowed their wingers to do what they're good at. Gnabry and Gosens, they created a ton of chances with crosses into the box. All 4 of Germany's goals came off of crosses into the box. So I think that with Hungary basically is going to sit back in some type of either, 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, 4-4-2, whatever it might be. it's going to be a lot of cases of Germany getting the ball on the outside and crossing it into the box. Hungary, they got the great draw against France, but they've been pretty much what we expected coming into this tournament. They've been outcreated for 5.43 expected goals to 0.84. And they do have to win this match, but they're going to have to defend like hell if they don't want to get blown out against Germany. Now, this match will be played in Munich, so we won't get the great Budapest crowd, but I have to take a deep breath before saying this one because I'm going to go under 3.5 goals here. And it's really scary saying that, but I think this is a scenario where I don't see how Hungary is going to score against Germany because they've just done nothing offensively. They got the 1 goal against France, but not even creating 1 expected goal after their first 2 matches is really concerning. I'm going to hope and pray for Germany doesn't blow them out by 4 or 5 goals because Germany doesn't actually need goal differential on the tie break. They could win maybe 1 or 2 or even 3-0 and just, coast or whatever it might be. So I'm going to take under 3.5 goals at anything minus 135 or better and hope that Germany takes their foot off the gas if they get up in this one.
I think a lot of people, when one team is in a must-win situation, especially when they're the underdog, they just expect them to go, gung-ho attack mode. But I guess the best path to success here is for Hungary to kind of just drag Germany as deep into this game as possible, and then try to get lucky. Of course, if Germany scores, that all goes out the window if they score early. Anthony, look, BJ sort of sold me on Hungary. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to say on Hungary. I think that the German demolition of Portugal was as matchup dependent as anything else. Just nobody tracking the runs of Robin Gosens up the left wing and letting Kimmich just swing the ball across the field to Gosens, who then just crossed it right into Havertz. That happened like 5-6 times. And every single time it looked like Germany was going to score, and there were just no defensive adjustments from Portugal. Semedo kept getting pulled in, which left room for Gosens. Nobody was tracking Gosens' runs. It was calamitous defending from the Portuguese. Hungary should be more prepared for that, and I think that obviously Germany is the big favorite here. I can't get behind laying the 2 goals at all, for that matter, because I don't trust them enough to create lots of chances in this game. And I think they're too vulnerable at the back. I mean, we saw Portugal counter multiple times. Every time Portugal had numbers going forward and got midfielders on the ball, they looked like they were ready to score. And they did score twice, almost scored a third through Renato Sanchez. They very easily could have been ripped apart. And the first team that really wants to attack this German team may really put some damage into them. But for me, it's a stay away game. I may look to get in live. If the Germans get up early, that will be a good live spot for me to get maybe an under 4, even if it's a really early goal. Because again, like BJ said, foot could come off the gas, rotation could come into play, and the Hungarians can score, but it's really hard to see how they get more than 1.
I mean, in that case, one bet that could be fun if you just want to bet this game but are afraid of every other option is both teams to score plus money. Could be interesting if you do trust the Hungarians just a little bit. For me, I think I'll probably party on the 15-1 money line and feel bad for myself after it loses. All right, so the other game, obviously, the 2 big teams playing this game, Portugal and France. It's one of those weird. We only see this kind of market really in an international tournament where the draw is actually at lower odds than one of the money lines. France is a lukewarm favorite. The tie right now is plus 185 and Portugal is plus 300. I was very wrong about Portugal against Germany. I thought that they would be much more stout defensively. I am terrified of this team. I can't figure them out. France, on the other hand, they've looked like they should, I guess, as tournament favorites. They should still probably be tournament favorites, no matter what happens in this match and what happened against Hungary. But I do like we've talked about so much with these last round of matches, right? There's so much game theory that you can put in. Does France rotate again? They don't really need to win. I don't really think. I just don't really know how these 2 teams are going to set up, and I don't really picture Portugal trying to take the game to this team at all. So I don't have anything on this match yet, but I do think it's obviously it's going to be a great match to watch. So I will be in on it. So I'll let you 2 take it from here and try to convince me. Anthony, where are you going?
Yeah, my favorite soccer prop, both teams to score. I'm going no, -110. This game sets up to be a really interesting battle of two possession averse teams. I mean, Portugal is going to be the team on the back foot for the majority of the game. If we know how Santos likes to set up his team, they're going to be the more passive team, look to break and counter. They're going to be the team playing for the point because they need the point more than France does. A point for Portugal is good enough to get into the knockout stage, whereas France needs 3 to win the group, most likely, assuming Germany wins. A France draw likely sees them in second place, which could mean England in the round of 16. So really interesting game theory going on here. For me, I think no matter what happens with the game state, whether Portugal goes up early or France goes up early, it creates a situation where I don't trust either attack to then break down the opposing defense. We saw Germany have a lot of success on the wings against Portugal. France doesn't really have that. I mean, Ousmane Dembele can come off the bench, but he's not going to start. So he's not going to play the first half. Benjamin Pavard doesn't really get forward from the right. Lucas Hernandez sort of does from the left for France. I'm guessing he's going to start over Digne, but there's not a lot to break down a low block in this France team. And there's even less in this Portugal team. If France goes up 1-0, Deschamps is going to put 8 guys behind the ball and just 9 guys behind the ball and just sit and like they do. So for me, I think both teams to score no, -110 is how I'm getting involved. I'm totally passing on the money lines and the spreads and totals. I don't know what to expect. But for me, the both teams to score no.
Yeah, it's one of those games that if the draw was offered at normal odds, I definitely would be all over it. But since all the value's been sucked out of that one, bookmakers they're no fun. Come on, offer that one at better odds, and I would get into it. BJ, Portugal, France, draw, over, under, chaos. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I don't really have much on this match. I kind of agree with Anthony that I don't really know what's going to happen from either team because, obviously Portugal looked horrible against Germany, but France plays a completely different style of soccer. So it's going to be very more defensive. And honestly, I think the odds reflect that. The over 2.5 is at +130 or greater right now, which kind of signals that this is going to be a very defensive draw type of match. The game theory on this is a little bit interesting because if you're Portugal and you get third place, you'd get to play either Netherlands or Belgium. And then second place obviously would play against England. So I think both these teams have to come to this match with the assumption that Germany is going to beat Portugal. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe there's some scoreboard watching going on, if France decides that they really want to go and try to win the group and get that favorable path in the knockout stage. I just honestly have no idea what either team is going to do in this match. If one of these teams scores early, since it is going to be a defensive game, I might take a look at a live under, but other than that, it's kind of just stay away from me.
And 3 points and a negative goal difference for Portugal might not be enough. So they also have to be very mindful and will be mindful. Right now they're at +1 on 3 points. +1 on 3 points probably is enough, but if you lose by multiple goals, it starts getting very dicey.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads it to the point. I was kind of looking after that Germany game for Portugal. I know, Anthony, you were pretty high on them to win the tournament going in. Their number really didn't do anything. It drifted right back to where it was pre-tournament. It's still there, 9-1, which I think is absurd. Like I think I was hoping to buy low, maybe get a Portugal future at double their odds before the tournament started because of how this group is shaken out, and that they're basically 50-50 ish to advance. So that number at 9-1 still is that's not right. So I wish I could get involved at a better number there, but it didn't come. And that'll do it. I mean, what a group stage. BJ, Anthony, I thank you for all your hard work, and I'll see you in the round of 16.
For all the updated information on the Euros, go to theactionnetwork.com and download the Action Network app and enjoy the games.